Cash One Pawn has the most extensive inventory of any pawn shop in western Montana. Whether you're in the market for firearms, power tools, bows, video game consoles, or sunglasses, Cash One Pawn is the best deals around. And now Cash One Pawn gives you the ability to shop online from anywhere. Make CashOnePawn.com part of your shopping habits. Also make sure to download the Cash One Pawn app. Cash One Pawn, Missoula's premier pawn shop, located on Roller Coaster Road on the way to the Y. Big Star Breakdown, SkylineSportsMT.com, and this is fun. One of the guys that was a frequent guest when we first spearheaded this podcast years and years ago, and now here he is, head coach at his alma mater. Tim Plough joined us, head coach of UC Davis, and has joined us in this capacity multiple times, but never as a head coach. So, Coach, congratulations on the new position, and thanks so much for being here, man. How you been?
No, it's been good. I feel like this is like a reunion, man. This used to be just kind of football talk weekly, back in the NAU days. So this is cool.
Yeah, very cool. Well, tip of the cap to you first and foremost, because we're celebrating our 10th anniversary here, and we did our top 5 quarterbacks in the last 10 years, and Jake Mayer was just right outside the top 5, and Case Cook is one of your guys at NAU, came in at number 2. So
awesome.
Yeah, a couple guys that you coached, and those guys were pretty special. So like the coaches always tell you, good players make good coaches, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm only as good as the guys that I've coached, but those 2 guys, I know Jake will be proud. I'm sure he'll text me that when he finds out, he'll be pissed he's out of the top 5. So
I know
those 2 guys were tremendous players, but the Big Sky Conference always has elite quarterback play, which has always, I thought, made it one of the most exciting and difficult conferences, is because it seems like every year there's 3 or 4 guys that are pretty dang good, so that's a sweet list. Even if you're in the top 10, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt. And certainly a list that was dominated by Eastern Washington, but also had some NAU guys, some UC Davis guys. So certainly a fun one. How's it been going so far? Back at your alma mater again. You've been there a couple times. Yep. Already, but now as the head coach, how's things going for you guys there at Davis?
It's been fun, man. I think I had to make a tough life decision. You can keep doing the coordinator thing and climbing the ladder and obviously making good money and those kind of things, but I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a head coach, and I wanted to be a head coach here. I felt like this was a place that I know you and I always talked about, like, it's got the potential to be really good. You can win here. You get to coach great kids, and I have a real strong love for the program, and the opportunity to try to help it, get to new heights was something I just felt like I always wanted to do it, and to be able to raise my family here. I got 3 little boys and make them a part of that. My wife went to school here, so it's been a really cool experience. Still learning a lot every day. I make mistakes every day as a new head coach, and hopefully can keep growing and learning. And that's the cool thing about the job, is I felt like I'd been a coordinator since I was 25 years old. And, in this position, man, the amount of stuff I'm learning on a daily basis is awesome. And that's always been my desire, is just to learn. So it's been fun.
What's the biggest challenge of transitioning to a head coaching spot?
I think for me, I'm a football guy. Like, I mean, I just love football, love talking football, love coaching football, love the schematics of the game. And I think in this seat, you got to find the balance of when you can actually do the football stuff, because there's so many things outside of that now is under your umbrella. So just trying to balance out how to be a great leader for the program, for our administration, and help grow the program outside of the football aspects has been fun, but also challenging, because during football season, man, I just want to coach football, and so it's finding that balance has been difficult, but been fun too.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember coming out of the pandemic when Jeff Choate left Montana State. Obviously, had a great opportunity at Texas. Who's going to turn down Texas? Nobody. Right. But he said, "Hey, my number one motivation here is we took this whole time off, and I got to start coaching ball again. I was coaching the D line, I was coaching the linebackers, and I realized, holy cow, I missed it. I should go coach some linebackers again." So it is an interesting fold, but I'm glad you're being able to manage it. You mentioned the potential of UC Davis. I think a great many people listening to this understand that, and maybe some that are listening to this don't understand that. So just tell people about why you think there is so much potential there at your alma mater.
Well, I think the first part is, we have a national brand in regards to our university. You're talking about, a top 5 public university in the nation. So this is a world-renowned school, so from an academic standpoint, you can really attract people that want to get higher education at one of the best places in the country. You got over 40,000 students here. I mean, this is a big school with a big following. And then from an athletic standpoint, there's always been a lot of success in the football program. But we got 26 sports, and we got $50 million facility that we just built here. So I would say our facilities, our support is at the level of higher FCS programs, and like some of the big FCS programs, probably better than a lot of the group of 5 programs. So I think they're committed to doing the things they need to do athletically to help us compete with the teams that are always at the top of the FCS. You couple that with the academic experience, I think you got a great pitch for top level recruits. And then just the area itself, living in Davis is a tremendous place to raise your family. And if you're a young guy, great place to go to school. And so I just think it's got high potential to be able to compete year in and year out at the top of the best conference, I think, in the country. And then also possibly compete in the playoffs if we're lucky enough to get there, year in and year out. And so I thought Coach Hawk did a great job of coming in and laying down a foundation for this is how you win at the Division I level. These are the things we need. He put the post down to get this facility built, and now I get to take the baton from him and try to see if we can start winning some football games at that higher level. And so it's been exciting, and I do think it's just at the beginning stages of what it can be, and I'm committed to being here and try to build it.
When it comes to the academic rigors of UC Davis, I've always found this fold fascinating. Stanford, Notre Dame, other schools like that sort of have these same things, and I've always felt that when coaches say that's a huge challenge, I don't know, feels like that's a huge opportunity, and it feels like you, Hawk, Ron Gould, even before that, and Bob Biggs have certainly before that, sort of embraced that. Do you feel like it narrows your funnel, so to speak, in terms of the guys that you are able to recruit to UC Davis?
I've always felt like you said, I've always felt like it's an advantage for us because,
Right.
coaching at NAU or Boise State, in my time, great places, but you have the ability to look at the entire map and you can recruit anybody,
Everybody,
but
right?
that makes a list of thousands of people
Right.
versus when you're at a UC Davis or a Cal like I was a year ago, that vision is really small. So it allows you to put all your focus on a smaller number of guys, and the guys that you're recruiting are the type of people that they strive for that in the classroom. They want to have the ability to set themselves up academically as well as play high level football. And so there's going to be guys that are going to get recruited by Mountain West programs. But they're also, if they're a high academic guy that really values that, we have a chance to defeat, group of 5, sometimes power 4 teams in recruiting because we can provide them the academic experience that they covet. And so I've always looked at it as an advantage in the recruiting world because you kind of know what you're looking for, and that number is into a smaller bracket that you can put all your focus on.
Last big picture question, then we'll talk about you guys' season so far. The fact that you are a UC Davis alum, that seems to be such a commonplace thing actually for Davis head coaches, and that's only there's only a couple schools in the Big Sky that are kind of like that. Bobby Hauck's coaching at his alma mater. I think that's a distinctly not unique but rare thing. Certainly, the fact that you went there, how much do you think that can help you just in terms of communicating what Davis is all about?
I do think that it's unique to certain places, but I think why that's happened so much here is there are some pitfalls you can fall into at a place like this if you don't understand how it works and what the avenues
Sure.
are. And if you do understand the avenues and you look at them in a positive way, you can really have success when you're in there. I would classify Montana very similarly. Like if you don't really know the inner workings of Montana and how that works, you could really struggle at that place. Versus if you have a lot of prior knowledge of what it takes to win there and the type of people you need to recruit and the alumni and how that all works, you can have great success there. So I think that the advantage for me is I have prior relationships with the alumni. I know a lot of people that are in the administration. I've known Rocco, the AD, for a long time. So I'm not walking into a place and trying to learn what it takes to be successful. I already know that because of the experience I had here before as a player and as a coach. So it gives you a kind of a head start when you're a first time head coach or even a new head coach. You kind of know the things you need to get to be successful. And the amount of alumni support that I've received, a lot of it is because I'm a Davis guy and I have relationships prior with those people. And so we've been able to raise money at a pretty high rate and get support. Whereas if you weren't connected to Davis, you were going to have to earn that trust over time and show your vision. So I do think it's a leg up in certain places when you already have that prior relationship.
And then the program you inherited, I mean, first of all, Davis should have made the playoffs last year. We grandstanded for that on this podcast as well as on our ESPN radio show. But either way, the point is that Davis has been a playoff team the last handful of years, and then one of the better teams in the conference and the country. So, what do you think of what you inherited, and how much have you been able to use that as sort of a foundation to build upon into this great start you guys have this year?
Yeah, I can't say enough about, and I got to be here to experience some of it, is what Coach Hawkins did when he got here was he took a view of what Davis was. He saw the areas where we were being held back and was very adamant about getting those things changed and did a great job of laying a foundation to, if we want to be successful and win consistently, we've got to take care of these things in regards to how we run our program. And I was here for that, to watch him do that. And I saw the growth we took from 2017 to 2020, and we took huge strides. And so how we recruited, how we fundraised, how we trained, all those things changed when Coach Hawk got here. And that led to some success. And I think as he decided to step away, what I felt like when I spoke to him is he felt like the team was ready to take the next step and compete consistently to possibly win the conference and possibly compete in the playoffs. And it was my job really to teach the team, this is how you win in this conference. This is how you win consistently. And knowing that over the years at NAU and Davis, all my prior knowledge of the conference, I felt like I could help. Hawk did all the legwork to get it set up. And now I can try to take the next step of helping the program grow into not just being a good Division I FCS program. Let's try to take the next step and see if we can actually compete for championships. And so we had already had some talented players here. I think it was just a mindset shift of, hey guys, now it's time to really put the pedal down and see if we can compete and win this thing. And there was a lot of motivated people behind that. So for me, it was just teaching our team what it takes to win football games and play winning football consistently. And hopefully that allows us to not only get to the playoffs, but win when we get there, and eventually, hopefully, win a Big Sky championship, which we know how difficult that is to compete and win 6-7 games every year in the conference, which is what it's going to take to win the conference. And I think that's the motivation for me, is to hopefully win a championship here and to make this place a consistent team viewed as the same way that the Montanas, Montana States, and Easterns have been viewed over the decade, 20-year plus run that those teams have had. I think we have the capability of getting there. It's going to take time, but I think we can get there. And that's what I'm excited about, is everyone's committed to doing that. And if we do that, I think this place could compete just like they do.
So will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
Going pretty well year one, certainly. Number 5 this week in the recent FCS poll. I was contemplating this in real time on live radio, if this is the highest you guys have been ranked. Then I looked it up. I remembered you guys have been at, I think, as high as number 4 when you played at Eastern Washington back in that 2018 year when you shared the conference title. I think Eastern was like number 4, 5, 2 when you lost up there. But either way, I was actually sort of stunned by the fact that this last week when they said on the broadcast, that's the first UC Davis win over Eastern Washington. Not a crazy long history, not like you have with Sac State or some of the others, but certainly a big time win, and it's hard to win on the red. So just take us through it. 48-38 last week. Thought your offense played great. Land Larison, what a stud that guy is. So just take us through it. What was the keys to victory up there in Cheney?
I think the first thing was, we were well aware here about the record. That was something that was communicated on a pretty consistent basis. And so what I wanted to make sure they knew was like, hey, we weren't part of those 11 games. There might be some guys that have been here a long time that have dealt with it, but like the 2024 team is undefeated against Eastern Washington. We've never played them, and so try to take the noise away of the 0-11 and just focus on this one year. But yeah, in the back of my mind, I was on the team in 2005. I think we played Eric Meyer up there in the fog, and we had a good team, and they beat us late. I was up there in, I think, 2007, 2008. We played up there. We were winning the whole game, lost late. I was here in 2017. We were up 38-34, lost late. Gage Gabrud took them down. I was there in 2018 when we lost in the playoff game. We were up by 1 point, and they got us. I mean, it just had been a thorn in our side that we just could not figure out a way to get those guys. And I think that one win, I didn't realize how important it was going to be, but the response we got from our alumni and fans was pretty remarkable. Our thought process was, this is a great team. I know their record might not show it, but I got a great deal of respect for Coach Best. They got the best receiver in the conference. They got really good coaches. They just beat Sac State the week before. Like, we know it's going to take everything we have to beat them. So our plan going up there was, defensively, we got to stop the run. They ran the ball 55 times for a bunch of yards against Sac State. We got to stop the run, do our best to stop number 7, even though we didn't, but do our best to slow him down. And then offensively, our thought was, they do so much defensively, a lot of different looks, that if we can just stay consistent, we felt like explosive plays were going to come because they're a high-risk defense. And early on, we struggled a little bit, but kept our poise to say, hey, those big plays are going to come, and it's going to be streaky when it does. And so we hit a bunch of good drives in the second quarter, hit a bunch of good drives in the fourth quarter. We're able to get the run game going with Land, and Miles was able to stay, pretty hot. He's been playing well the last few weeks, and hit some big plays to Sam and to Chaz. And so for us to be able to finish that game, win that one on the road, I've been telling guys for years, I know you and I used to talk about this, me and Andy Thompson always talked about it at NAU, winning on the road in the Big Sky is extremely difficult. And I mean, the numbers have shown that over the last 24 years, you got basically like a 33% chance of winning a road game in the conference, so like when we beat Portland State on the road in that crazy game that we won at the last play, in my mind, I'm like, I know everyone on paper said we're supposed to beat them, but anyone on the road, I'll take it. Especially, and I was telling everybody, hey, we just beat Portland State. That means statistically, we might lose the next 3 games based on the last 24 years. So any game we win on the road is vital. And at the same time, I always talk about, we got to go undefeated at home. Like, if you want to win the Big Sky, you got to go 4-0 at home, because winning on the road is going to be so difficult that if you lose your home games, it's going to make it really difficult to win the conference. So our focus all year has been, let's go undefeated at home and try to win as many games on the road as we can. So the fact that we are 2-0 on the road is the thing I'm most proud of right now, because I know how difficult it is, especially on the red turf. That just does not happen very often. I think that's only the second time. I think I won once up there when I was at NAU. We scored a bunch of points and beat them. And then this year at Davis. So I've been going up there since 2003. That's only the second time I've coached or played in a game and won on that turf. So I know how difficult it is.
No doubt. I mean, shoot, Montana State didn't win there till 2 years ago. And
right.
They haven't been back. Montana didn't win there till this year. I mean, it's
wow. I didn't know that either. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's a tough place. Each of the last trips for each of those 2 teams was their first time winning on the red. 2 more things for you, and then we'll let you go. How have you seen, just in general, the Big Sky Conference evolve since you were in it and then left it and then came back to it?
I think it hasn't changed that much, in the sense that I have always felt, even when I went to Boise and Cal, that there's elite coaching in the Big Sky. I mean, elite coaching from the top team to the bottom. And it's usually young, hungry coaches. Like they are trying to prove themselves. And so every week you're going to get elite schematics and elite game planning from the coaching staff. And then I've always felt that from a skill standpoint, every team has a handful of guys that would play power 4 football. It's just, are they able to get deployed in the right way? So it's maybe a little bit deeper, right? I still think there's a top level to it, but I would say when I first got in the conference, it was the same 2 or 3 teams. And I think over time it became 5 or 6 teams that consistently were up there. And so I think it's deeper. I think it's really competitive. But I still think the consistency of the coaching is elite, and every team's got 4 or 5 stud players that could play at any level, and I think that hasn't changed and probably won't change for a long time.
It seems like there's an element too where the coaches want to be here and the players want to be here, right? And that's especially true at the the top half of the league.
Yeah, I think that especially with the way college football is going, I know this was heavy in my decision making whether to be a coordinator at the Power 4 level or take this head coaching job. It was with the way college football is heading. Big Sky football is one of the last real conferences where you're playing really good Division I level football, and you're kind of away from the noise of, not that transfer portals aren't being used or anything, but it's just a little different. I don't think you're seeing the type of change that you're seeing at the upper levels. I think the coaches stay for a long period of time. You got more stability that way, and so it feels like the classic college football model. And I think coaches aspire for that nowadays, the consistency of that. So you're getting stability at a lot of programs. And then you're getting players like, guys are going to leave. Like we've had some guys, Teddy Buchanan going to Cal and Chuba going to Arizona. And we've had some guys down the road. But that's why you also see Keelan Doss stay at Davis and Lan Larison stay at Davis and Cooper Kupp stay at Eastern Washington, because I think some of these players also realize, like, man, this is high level football. I'm going to get the same type of publicity, but I'm going to be the guy, versus when I try to transfer to some of this random stuff going on, like who knows, there's so much unknown out there. So a lot of these great players stay, and they stay for a long period of time. So you see them year after year after year. I know it felt like I only coached Case for 2 seasons, but I'm sure everyone felt like Case Cookis had been in the Big Sky for 10 years by the time he was done.
For
so,
sure.
like Emmanuel Butler out there just mossing dudes at NAU. I mean, you see these guys year and year and year out, and that's cool, because I think at the higher levels, I don't know if you see that as much.
No doubt. And being a standout, being the man.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, Troy Anderson, like these guys.
Yeah.
They're proven that it's true. So now last question for you. The position you put yourself in, here you are, top 5 team in the country. And now you got this gauntlet coming up. And I know we're going to talk to you next week to preview the Montana game, and talk to you the weekend after that to preview the Montana State game. But what do you think of the position you guys have put yourself in?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before the season. Like, hey, we've got to take care of business and win our home games and be competitive and try to put ourselves in a good spot, so that when we get to the end of our conference, we feel like we can compete in those games and make a run at it. We're going to have to improve as the season goes. I think the great part about our team is we haven't played our best football consistently a lot of the portion of the season. So we've had to compete and fight back and win some close games, where at the time you might be frustrated, like, man, I wish we would have played better. But what that did show was that our guys are going to compete and fight, and they have belief. And if we end up getting in a close game here at the end of the year against some of these really talented, good teams, maybe we've been tested in those spots, and we've played in games where it came down to the final drive. Maybe some of these teams haven't, and maybe that's something that can help us when we get into some of these tight games down the stretch. Everyone's going to point to the Montana games and our rival at the end with the team across the causeway. But I mean, I even look at the team we're about to play in Northern Colorado as we're getting ready for them during our bye week. There's not a coach in this conference that I respect more than Ed Lamb, and what he did at Southern Utah and building that program into a Big Sky Conference champion. And now he's trying to do the same thing at Northern Colorado. You see what they did to Weber State a few weeks back, that no one gave him a chance to do that. That to me was a classic Ed Lamb team that forced turnovers, controlled the clock, won the game. And so I really have been pushing our team, like, let's not focus on anything past the challenge that we have ahead of us, which is we got another home game. We got to stay undefeated at home. We got to beat another really good coach with a good team that's motivated. And hopefully we can take care of that before we get to the games that everyone is going to talk about, which anytime you play a team in Montana or Montana State in this conference, that's going to get a spotlight on you. And you got to hope you're prepared and ready to play well.
Tim Plough here on the Big Sky Breakdown and the Skyline Sports YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us, Coach.
Man, great to be back. The reunion is in full force. And, man, I hope to come on a bunch and talk some football and talk some Big Sky because love what you guys do. I've always appreciated the spotlight you bring to our conference, but also on a personal level, man, you've always given me a platform to talk some ball, and it's always meant a lot, even back in the Lumberjack days. So, man, I'm happy to come on whenever you guys want to talk some ball.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.